Good evening, guys.
Good evening, TC, and welcome all to our weekly podcast. Terry Curran's The Curran View with the Isle of Hillsborough and Mr. Terry Curran. If you're listening free to the first half on either Acast or Spotify, you can follow the links on our socials and access the full podcast via either Apple or become a Patreon, all the W's, patreon.com/SRBmedia. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Curran View or on Facebook, The Curran View, or join the conversation in the group, which is over 3,200 members strong. Thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Steady away, mate. How are you?
Yeah, steady away, like you just said. Other than that, not too bad.
Good, man. It's been quite a week, TC. We say every week at the start of every podcast, how do you pick your magic moment? So I'm interested to see what magic moment you pick, because there's just so many brilliant ones.
Well, there is that. It gets when you're watching and you're trying to analyse, which is the best magic moment, because there's some technical ability with goalkeeping saves and defending, and on top of it, we're looking open split passes by, with accuracy. I mean, I look at Ireland; it's incredible, his goal scoring record. He's scoring goals for fun. I thought Foreign were absolutely sublime. People will look at it with Man United were poor. Manchester City were that good. Yeah. They reminded me of Barcelona at the best. And they have got that many good players. But what I'm going for is, and it's not being favouritism at all, it's Vokes' goal for Sheffield Wednesday at Port Vale. Again, people might say I've been biased, but how many times have I picked Wednesday on anything? I just thought his reaction to it. And listen, you could have had 3 goalkeepers in there that wouldn't have saved it, because it's just he's reacted it with a split second. Yeah. There's a man in front of him, and to get it with accuracy right into the top right hand corner, I thought it was a sublime goal. So that's what I'm going for, Gabby. Vokes' goal for Sheffield Wednesday at Port Vale, and that's outdoing some of the Premier League and the other Championship games.
Absolutely, Sheffield Wednesday are firing on all cylinders too. I love the. I saw the post in the Wednesday Sing group, and there was limbs everywhere when that ball went in. Fantastic goal celebrations from the fans, and again, what a strike! But Wednesday have knocked in some fabulous goals this season. We said it a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. Sheffield Wednesday could almost have goal of the season themselves with the goals that they've scored.
Yeah, but if we are honest, Gabby, we have TV now, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do like modern day football. I do. I think there's a lot of good things in it. But football didn't start when the Premier League started, and I'm sure we would have seen as many good goals as what we're seeing nowadays if we'd have had the cameras at the grounds.
100%. I mean, Frank Worthington said to me when he talked me through that goal against Ipswich.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that wasn't the best goal I scored, but there was no cameras at QPR. He said, if you see Ian Gillard, ask him about that goal I scored against Queen's Park Rangers. But I haven't seen Ian Gillard. But when Shanksy comes back, I think he's still in Egypt. When he comes back, I'm going to have a word with Shanksy and see if he remembers. Because I think Don Shanks would have been the right back that day, as Ian Gillard was the left back. But
I mean, everyone goes on to me about the goal I scored for Sheffield. The best goal I scored was for Nottingham Forest against Fulham.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I'd love to see that on television. And I scored one in training. Would have made them all. It'd have made Messi's eyes open up. Never mind anybody else's.
Yeah, mind you, that was a great free kick by Messi this week against Nice as well, wasn't it? It's like you go like, oh well, there you go.
Listen, by the way, there's not only Mbappe and Neymar what can do that. There's other players. They would be sick that they get. They're 4th at 5th in line to get a chance of having a shot at goal from a free kick. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Messi's the main man. I mean, we saw James Maddison score a brilliant free kick goal yesterday against Nottingham Forest. We're going to talk about James a little bit later because
he played well.
Yeah, we have touted him up for England before, but we will talk about him in a little bit more depth later on.
Whatever Southgate's here. in charge. He's never going to get in there. But like Letizier with Oddle and Venerable, for some unknown reason, you would have expected both of them to pick him, wouldn't you?
You would, but again, sometimes, I don't know, they have a leave of senses and whatever. But, I mean, TV did have an awful lot of players and he did pick some great players. But Glenn went down the avenue of not picking any of the Mavericks and any of the ball players and just went for adopted a very cautious approach as Southgate has. I loved Almiron's strike. I mean, that was fabulous goal.
Again, when you look at that, I mean, what did I tell you about letting the ball drop?
Yep.
Below your knee.
Yep.
It was a great strike. Absolutely great strike.
I felt sorry for Phil Foden. Phil Foden scores the first hat-trick in a Manchester derby since Erling Haaland 9 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you see, it's always been known in football, unless they've changed it now, but when I was playing, if whoever got the quickest hat-trick, if two players got an hat-trick, whoever got the quickest one kept the ball.
The quickest one or the first one?
Well, the
first hat-trick, yeah.
Yeah, well, you can call it I don't mean the quickest, but
exactly.
In the game, whoever got the first, the
first past the post.
Yeah. Kept the ball.
I mean, Gundogan took the ball off Haaland, didn't he, and says, you got enough, you have, give it, Phil. I mean, he's collecting them. I did note on Match of the Day's Facebook account earlier, and I have just posted it on mine. I'm going to post it to the group. Haaland, without question, is arguably the greatest goal scorer of his generation and this current generation, going back for the last probably 20, 30 years since the Premier League started, if we're absolutely honest. The rate he's scoring at is frightening.
You're not being biased because if you take his game, his all-round game, his touch, his pace, his timing, right? We know Shearer scored the goals. We know other people have scored goals. But he's got every mortal thing, everything to his game.
100%. I mean, he is just he's a beast. He's a throwback. But again, what I didn't like and what I don't like on Match of the Day, because they put down all the players that had scored the goals by the age of 22. But once again, these muppets of modern day football, and they're a disgrace. Match of the Day, I put that they're a disgrace, and I'll challenge anybody from Match of the Day to do a podcast with me or do a live conversation with me, and I'll tell them exactly why. Because you forget your history. You are being paid by the taxpayers, and you are no more than a promotion arm of the Premier League, the world's richest league, and it's a disgrace that we all pay as taxpayers for Match of the Day. Now, Jimmy Greaves, by the age of 23, had scored over 200 goals. He'd scored 100 by his 21st birthday. Dixie Dean, when he was 21, scored 60 for Everton in that one season. Now, they're always forgotten. Football, I go back, football is the only establishment, shall we say, industry, for want of a better word, that forgets its history, and it's wrong.
Do not forget the history, Gabby. I'll tell you what it is. But whether people like it or not, remember when COVID came out, everything was going to be a new. They never mentioned football before the Premier League. They never mentioned it. I don't watch Match of the Day.
Yeah.
And when I said they never mentioned it, I'm talking about TalkSport and all them others. It's all it is Premier League.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that, because at the end of the day, it's a big league. But they cannot turn around and say this guy's the best goal scorer of all time.
No,
because
of course.
he has to beat Dixie Dean and Jimmy Greaves' record.
Absolutely.
In our leagues.
Absolutely.
They have to beat first. Then you can turn around and say, they've done it. And these have got more games to play than what they did, because he's playing in Europe and everywhere else, isn't it? Well,
absolutely.
The league goals they will play a little bit less games, because I think we played 46 games and they play what?
Well, you played 42 in a season back in the day in the old First Division, and they play
Right.
38. So there's
Four.
four less
Yeah.
games. They
Yeah.
don't play cup games. The top players tend to be rested in the FA Cup,
Yeah,
and
but
they've
we're
been.
talking about league, aren't we? So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're talking league. Yeah,
and
yeah.
so when they mention it, they should turn around and say in the Premier League. Because at the end of the day, Jimmy Green's record won't be beaten.
No, it won't be. No, I mean it does make me laugh when they say "Welcome to the 200 Club." Well, there's Jimmy Greaves, Dixie Dean, and Steve Bloomer. Welcome to the 300 Club because they sit at the top table, and those three players, the only three players that have ever scored over 300 league goals in this country, are forgotten every time it's mentioned, and it's a
Well,
disgrace.
again, I've not watched Match of Day since COVID. I've no intention of watching it. I've no intention of watching, and it's not being bitter. It's the wokeness of it. I'm not
Absolutely.
bothered about a woman. I'm not bothered about women commentate on it if she were there on merit. But you know it. I know it. They're not there on merit.
No, 100%. 100%, TC. Somebody else who isn't there on merit, according to Gareth Southgate, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I tell you what, he's just put a world in from a free kick.
The boss,
Oh,
Liverpool just
my
gone.
God. What a goal. It was like, just sublime. Just fabulous. Just a typical Trent goal.
Yeah, I mean, how he's now in the squad. Listen, he has to push Walker because his all-round game's quick, strong, you know.
Mm,
And what I'm trying to say is, Walker's been there. I know he's going, but I've always told you all this. If that manager does not, nobody will ever convince me that even Brian Robson was a better player than Alan Hudson.
no, of course he wasn't.
No one,
No.
right? But that's my opinion. I understand other people,
Yeah.
right? And you can say, well, what his own worst enemy off of the field. Well, let me tell you something. Brian Robson drank as much as Alan Hudson or anybody else in the game.
Of course he did.
Right? But protected by a certain manager. I'm not having to go, Robbo, because I like him as a player.
Yeah.
I think he's a brilliant, brilliant man.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion, what I'm trying to say is, nobody will convince me that Robbo was a better player than Alan Hudson.
No. Well, you can't because he wasn't a better player. But again, it's all opinions too. I thought Trossard's hat-trick, again, the hat-trick hero that's forgotten, 3 goals at Anfield, and I thought his first goal was fantastic, the way he's allowed the ball to roll across his body, and it's a left-footed shot straight across the goalkeeper, and the party starter in the North London derby. What a way to start the goal scoring by Party. Tremendous. So, what magic moments we've had this week. Absolutely
And
fabulous.
I would like to congratulate the owner, really, of Brighton, because where they've come from. Oh, when I was playing, they would get 30,000 people at the old Goldstone ground.
Yeah.
You know, it's a captive audience down there because it's a fair, but they've always got good support. But what they've done to achieve what they've achieved in these last 15, 20 years is incredible. So well done to Brighton. And yes, they should have won that game on Saturday. You know, it's their own fault for dropping a point. But well done to Liverpool because they're not playing particularly well, and to come back and at least get a draw. And isn't it funny how fans, well, I won't say it's Liverpool because I think Liverpool fans, I mean, you will get the odd ones, but Liverpool fans, I think, are more honest to the managers, and they're more honest than a lot of teams that go to Anfield. They're calling for, it's the media who are calling for Issa, Cooper. You know, Nottingham Forest have brought in 29, 30 players. Half of them players don't know each other yet. They've got to give them time. I still think that Nottingham Forest, if they don't sack Cooper, will stay up. I think they'll have a better second half of the season once they all get to know each other, and he gets to know which is his best team and which players he wants to pick on a regular basis. But like I told you, Gabby, you know, he deserves a chance.
Of course he does.
A go in the Premier League. But I've always told you, these type of managers, they've got to be able to handle the big name players when you get up there. because I like Cooper, you know I do, and I like the kid at going to Chelsea, Potter.
Yeah, Graham Potter. Yeah.
If they can handle the big name players, they'll be big. They will be elite managers.
And let's hope they do, because we do need managers like that being elite managers and managing elite teams.
I mean, he's Welsh in a sense, but I still like whether it's Welsh, Scottish,
absolutely. They're all British.
But at the end of the day, I go with the English because we want a national. It's the Premier League.
Yeah.
I don't mind any other managers coming there, but I want to see an elite English coach or 2 or 3 English coaches. What our coaches can follow on in the footsteps, admire, and so I want to try it that way.
Absolutely, T. And let me tell you, if the answer is Benitez, the question isn't, shall we sack Cooper? I mean,
question is, they will get relegated.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm not a fan of Benitez. Never have been. Never will be. I'm a fan of Steve Cooper.
I'm like you. I cannot watch his team play football.
No.
It's so boring.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and he didn't do very well in his last 2 jobs as well. And the time before that, he was in China. So, why?
I've always said you've got when a club appoints a manager, you've got to give them a chance.
Yes.
And the only time I've never done that was with Pulis when he went to Sheffield Wednesday. I said, well, I will never watch Sheffield Wednesday play.
Remember.
Because I've got Sheffield Wednesday on telly all the time. Right? And I said I would never watch, and I didn't watch them when Pulis were there.
Yeah.
Because I just cannot. I can't. Look, there's no right or wrong way to play football if you're winning. There's only a right way and a wrong way if you're not winning, isn't there?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I want to watch teams play like Manchester City. I want to watch teams play like Leeds United did when they. I want to watch teams play like Sheffield Wednesday when they had their good team, and when Arsenal had their good team, when Tottenham had their good teams, when Chelsea had their. I want to watch that type of football.
Same here. Absolutely. We want to watch football and watch artists perform and be entertained. And I don't want to watch a game of football where a team enters the field of play, puts 11 men behind the ball, and just tries to defend. I'm sorry, that ain't football.
What was the Huddersfield manager, that German guy?
Yeah, I can't remember his name now.
He kept him up, and everybody was going absolutely ballistic. Oh, what a great job he's done. They never went past the halfway line.
No,
They never went past the own goal line near my penalty box.
I know. What's the point in training? There's just absolutely no point.
The second season?
Yeah.
Oh, it was even worse.
Yeah. But
it must have been boring to go into training, and then when a game come up, they must talk for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
You know, how to stop teams playing. How does them forwards think? Well, hang on a bit. How are we going to win a game if we can't? You've got look in football. A manager has to make sure, right, that you're tight at the back.
Yeah.
But it's not just at the back; it's from front to back.
Of course, it is. It's a team game.
Choose what Alan Hudson was. Choose what Messi is. If you haven't got a solid defence, you'll never win a league title.
No, absolutely.
Right. But these teams forget, or these managers forget, if you've got a good defence, you know, they don't want to pick an Alan Hudson. They don't want to pick a so-and-so. They don't want to pick a so-and-so. It's incredible how we think and how we look at the game.
It's stupid. I mean, I've always said, if you want to strengthen your defence, improve your midfield, improve your forwards, get the ball.
I was listening to Simon Jordan on TalkSport, and I just enjoyed it more. You know, today, I just turned it off. I thought, well, I don't want to listen to talking about managers getting sacked. Or it's these what get the managers sacked.
Yeah, of course it is. The more that the media talk, they're putting the seeds of doubt into the owners, and when the owners are starting to get a bit of flack. Sorry?
It's more pressure onto the manager.
Of course it is. Let the manager, I just think, let the manager manage. You know, bringing in the amount of players that Forest had is quite ridiculous, but I get that they needed a lot of players, similar to Villa when Villa come up, because they had a lot of players on loan and they went back to the parent club, so that they had to bring in bodies. I do think there's too many bodies, and you got a question on who's bringing these bodies in, whether it's Cooper or whether it's the geezer that owns it, who knows, but you've got to give them time.
I agree with that, and it must be frustrating for Cooper, because I'm sure he would have said to the owner, get me 8 decent players we've got, or maybe 10 decent players to add to what we've got. But they brought in 29.
Exactly. It's just absolutely crazy. But, let's hope Forest stay up, because I do like Forest. I've always liked Forest because of Clough and Peter Taylor. Book Corner in association with myfootballbooks.com. Latest podcast, our football book podcast with Andy's coming out either later on this week, T, or early next week. Chris has been really busy, and congratulations, he's just become a granddad for the first time.
Congratulations, Chris, and give him my love, Gabby.
Well done. Are you doing the dishes, by the way? Have you got that phone to your ear?
Tell me what I'm doing. I'm sat in the kitchen while Jock's watching football in the room. I'm just putting the kettle on. I've got a cup out of the cupboard. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea while I'm talking to you.
Well, fair play, T.
I'm entitled to do that, aren't I?
You certainly are, sir. I've got a glass of lemon squash, and we did our latest, Alan Hudson's American Dream with Uddy Sunday morning, and I said, Uddy, we're both drinking coffee. It's incredible, isn't it? But we are going to do a happy hour one when me and Alan are both drinking, so you might not be able to understand us, but we will be more understanding and clearer than Gareth Southgate. But there you go. Leading me on nicely to my first pick, and it's a book that I've acquired not long ago. It come out many years ago, of course. England, the Alf Ramsey years. Forward by, Sir Alf Ramsey's put the forward, and it's a kick-by-kick commentary by Graham McCall. And it's a lovely book. It goes through all of Alf Ramsey's games as manager of England. And on the podcast, I said to Al, his penultimate game was the game in 1973 when Italy beat England on the 4th of November 1973. It was Fabio Capello that scored the goal, and Canaglia, the great Giorgio Canaglia, made it for him. And then, of course, England went away to Portugal in Lisbon on the 3rd of April 1974, drew 0-0. He was bringing in a lot of the younger players, trying to integrate them into the team, and he got the sack pretty much because we failed to qualify for the World Cup later on in that year when we got beat by Poland in, I think it was October, wasn't it, in 1973? Yeah, it was the 17th of October, so it's the anniversary soon, T, of us drawing with Poland.
When you look at Ramsey winning the World Cup, maybe after the 70 World Cup, if I'd have been there, I'd have come out of it, because that was a good team and all. What the 70 World Cup, a lot of people thought it was a better team.
Yes, yeah, they did.
I think he would have come away with it. He still got credit because obviously that's the only major trophy we've won, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he still got the credit, but it would have been, it'd have been more highly thought of. If it had come away after the not resigned, but said, look, I'm retiring from international football. I want to give somebody else another chance of, not another chance, but give somebody else a chance at managing our national team. And I'm going to have a look at managing again in the old first division.
Absolutely.
It's still an honour to win a World Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And in 73, I think it was the end of the 1972-73 season. Yes, it was. He gave Alan Hudson a 3-year ban. The conversation went, if you don't turn up to Heathrow tomorrow morning, you'll face the consequences. And that was for an under-23 tour, not a tournament, but just a pre-season tour. And Alan said, Alf, my ankle's been playing me up. I need the pre-season to get ready for Chelsea next season. And as you know, it's hampered him since 1970 when he went down a divot at the Hawthorns Easter Monday in 1970. Stopped him playing in that World Cup in 70 and in the FA Cup final. But Alf didn't want to know. Alf wouldn't listen. Alf decided to ban him for 3 years. And what a way to treat 21, 22-year-old as he was at the time.
Could that happen today?
No, it couldn't. And that's why Alan's so annoyed, because it couldn't. Do you know, I was talking to one of my customers.
You never know how we got treated, none of you.
No,
ever know.
But, I was talking to one of my customers the other day. She's a 86-year-old lady, and we were on about that because I'd just spoken to Al. He'd sorted me out with Tommy Hutchison's number. I'm going to do a 70s Legends podcast with Tommy, and I told her about that, and she said, "What a way to treat a player." I said, "I know that's how players were treated in them days, and probably still are today. But when you think about it, a 21-year-old, well, he was, he would have been 21 at that time because he would have been 19 on the on the World Cup final in 1970. It was played on his 19th birthday, so Alan would have been like 21. What a way to treat a 21-year-old kid, to say, if you don't turn up for this pre-season tour that means nothing, you'll face the consequences. Alan didn't know what the consequences were at the time, but Alf then banned him for 3 years.
Yeah, let me put something on top of that. Arguably the best midfield player in the country, or maybe in Europe at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a 23-year-old, maybe 21, what would he be? He played for 23, 21, 22?
He was born in 1951, so if we do the maths, he was what, 20, 21, 22?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, it's, and people will say, oh, but his own fault. Well, his own fault. He's been on it.
Exactly.
By the way, we had to play. We were forced with needles and everything.
Of course you were. Yeah.
People will never know how we got treated.
You know your own body. Now, with Waddington, when they were coming back on a train from, this is 1975, with a proper manager, and they drew at Arsenal, drew at West Ham, and Alan said to Tony, "I'm not going to be able to play on Monday against Liverpool because my ankle's playing up, Tony." And Tony Waddington says, "Al, just prepare for the game. I think it's going to rain." Cutting a long story short, when Uddy got to the Victoria ground, he went to see Tony because he'd gone into the dressing room, seen his boots and his kit hanging up, and he thought, oi, what's gone on here? As he's going to see Tony in his office, Keegan, Toshak and Clements were coming off the pitch. Kevin Keegan says, "Ud, how come your pitch is so muddy? We ain't had any rain in Liverpool for weeks." And Alan said, "There's a microclimate here, Kev, in the Potteries." He knocks on Tony's door. "Come in." "Hello, Alan. How many tickets do you want?" 14. That was it. And he got the Stoke Fire Brigade to water the pitch so Alan Hudson could play. That was when Shankly walked in, knocked on the door, and he says, "Can I come in, please, Tony?" "Bill, our dressing room's your dressing room." Walks in, went over to Woody, and he said, "I didn't think I'd ever see a performance that surpassed that of Peter Doherty, but you've just done it, son." And then he said his bits and pieces, and Bill Shankly left. But that is brilliant management. That is something Ramsey would never have done, and lots of others. Sexton would never have done. If only Uddy would have met Tony Waddington when he was 16 and gone through his career being managed by the great Tony Waddington.
When you look when Uddy joined them, they nearly won. They nearly won the
Football League. They were 4 points off it. Yeah,
incredible. They were. I mean, we have mentioned it, but I remember listening to that game on radio. 20,000 there, 29,000 there when Stoke beat Leeds at Victoria ground.
Oh, that game there, yeah. That was another game. That was Alan's first goal that he scored for Stoke against Leeds. I mean, Leeds must have thought, "Oh God, not him again." And they were 2-0 down and come back and won 3-2. Dennis Smith scoring the winner. It's a game Stoke fans still talk about, and still talk about those days, that season fondly. In fact, there is a book, the season we nearly won the league, Stoke City, and I think they finished in the top 6 twice on the spin with Huddy. But when Alan joined them, January 1974, I think they drew at Ipswich and went into the bottom 3 because Alan turned round to his Uncle George and says, "Oh my God, what have I done, George?" But Al turned Stoke's, performances around. and they went on the up, and they went up and up and up until that damn roof of the Butler's Lane End blew down, and that was it. He had to get sold because the roof was uninsured. Again, you wouldn't get that today.
What was it there? Was it 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. He just
3 fabulous seasons he had with them.
Yeah, he had pretty much 2. I mean, he was injured for a bit of the final season, but
yeah, but they were still successful, weren't they?
SRBMedia.